So yes, I think we are live. So yes, let's start today's stream. So this stream will be about the Node.js and its internal workings. We will today learn about the basic overview of servers, APIs, how to build a server in a Node.js, like pure Node.js without using any external like framework. And we will also create server using like external framework like Express, and we will learn little bit about more that kind of like similar technologies like Node.js, which is like Burn and more. We will just take a overview of Burn. We will not deep dive into it. And in the last, we will create our own ExpressJS mini clone, you can say that. So yes, let's start today's video, or you can say stream. So a little bit about me. I am currently studying in my last year of engineering, and I have recently joined a cohort by Chai or Code, like Hitesh Chaudhary, and there I have like couple of days ago I have learned about the Node.js, its internal working. So this will be revision for me, and I'm doing this just because like my English communication and like technical language will improve, and about my confidence. So yeah, that is why I'm streaming this. So let's start first learning about what is servers and APIs. So let me search on Google. What is server? So server is basically a computer software which basically runs on your computer and which provides like data services and program to other computers. So basically you can say it's like communicate to the other computers. Mm, like if I have to give you a real life example, I would say server is like a, a security guard like standing uh, outside a like outside a mall. So basically, what it does is upon request it gives a resources or provide services to in response to a request. This is just a software inside our computers, and as you can see uh, in this picture, uh, servers are run on computers. These are just basic softwares. As you can see in these pictures, if we take a like the overview of this client server architecture, what it does is, let's say we have a client. In our case, it's let's say it's YouTube, and which is running on your local computer, so it's client. And when you click on any videos, it so that video will be stored on the database, but you don't actually go and directly communicate with the database server. So there's something in middle called servers. So the you request to the server what you needed, and based upon that server its calculation and its security measures and all, it like server gets to the database, fetch the data or video, in our case video you needed, and then responds it to you. So you don't actually directly communicate with the database, you actually communicate with the server. So it acts like a middleware or middleman, you can say. And APIs are built inside the server. You can say APIs are the like rail blocks or rail lines, uh, which are predefined by, like in case I'm talking about the REST APIs, they are like predefined by the developers. For example, if I have to give you example about the REST APIs, I would say if you go to for example a movie ticket, you don't ask the movie ticket like person like who is standing on counter. You don't ask him to like withdraw cash or submit cash to bank account. So their job is like defined. You go to like movie theater to buy a ticket. So it is also similar to that. Like these APIs are rail blocks which are predefined. For example, if there is a API which is slash register, so you can hit the this API to register. So these are like like rail lines, predefined rail lines, which works accordingly. So these are the just brief overview about the server and APIs. So so in our case, we are using the JavaScript to build a backend or server software. So, uh, so basically, when the JavaScript like develop, it is developed just for the browsers. It is run on the client browsers. So JavaScript is basically run on your client, which is like your browser. It has the V8 engine, which basically is responsible for running your client-side JavaScript code. So basically, in I think it's in 2000s or 90s when a computer scientist, or I don't know his job title, he basically what he does is he like separated the V8 engine from browser and write a script in C or C++ to execute outside the browsers. So this is how the our JavaScript running on server became like became success. And here it comes the Node.js, which is run on client like server side. So it is run using the built-in Chrome V8 engine. And like Node.js is a runtime environment built upon like Chrome V8 engine. And it has a asynchronous input output behavior. It is non-blocking in nature, and it has a very impressive big community, and it has like very large libraries. So this become a obvious choice for any developer to run JavaScript on a server side. So if we look at their homepage, so it has like run JavaScript on everywhere. You can run this on server side. So yes, today we will also learn about Node.js and how to create servers on Node.js. For that, let me create a new folder so that we can write a code inside the this folder. And let me spin up my VS code. I will open that newly created folder inside my VS code. It's in factors node internals. There we go. So yes, as until now we have like overview about the servers, APIs, and the brief history or overview about Node.js. So first of all, we will try to develop a server using a pure Node.js, and in future we will look at why the Express frameworks like Express, like high-level framework exist for this Node.js. So first of all, to create to initialize a Node.js environment, we have to run this command npm. So basically npm is node package manage node package manager, I guess. It's not an official full form, but it is what they call it. So to initialize a node.js environment, we have to write this command npm init. This command will initialize your environment. So we have packaged and yes, version, yes. Sorry. Uh, I would not like to initialize it here. I would like to create a folder. What should I call it? Node.js. And inside that, I would like cd for change directory into the Node.js. Here, I would like to initialize a npm environment. Yes. Description pure Node.js server. Entry points. Yes, I would like to call it an index.js. Mm, yes. So yes, as you can see, we have initialized our environment, Node.js environment. We will not talk about this now. We will talk about this in futures. So as we have like said here, like main our entry point will be index.js file. So let me create a index.js file. And to create a server with Node.js, what Node.js does to create a server is it basically internally uses HTTP to communicate. So let me import the HTTP. Before that, I would like to initialize this project as module.js so that we can use the uh, latest I would say syntax like import export. So let me import the HTTP from HTTP. So this comes and build with the Node.js. In case you have not installed the Node.js, you can install it. Uh, Let me just smooth my helper AI. So as I have imported the HTTP, now I can create a server. For example, I will create a new or variable name server, and I can initialize or create a server using HTTP module, and it has a method called create server. So what this create server method does it basically creates a server using HTTP, and inside we will get a callback function which has two parameters. You will always see this in Node environments, with which gets request and response. These are the two parameters. We will give it a arrow function, and inside it we will have a access to incoming request, uh, and which will have two parameters, which is request and response. And as we have created a server, we have to listen it on some port. So for that, we have a syntax called server dot listen, and here we have to pass a two arguments. First is port. In our case, we will pass 8000 and a callback function which has a two parameters request response, and we will console log listen on port 8000, right? So these are the basic, like you can say, boilerplate to create a node server. But main challenge come here, like inside where my cursor is. Here we have access to all the incoming request inside our request, this request variable. But here comes the main challenge, which is like a routing and maintaining the code, like to maintain a clean modular code. For that, we have to write our own manual logic to separate our routes and methods. So in our case, I will write a switch statement, switch based upon mm, method. Method. I will initialize a method. Method will have access to request dot method. So this request variable have this dot method inside, which will give us a method name about the incoming request. So switch statement will have case one, which is get. If the incoming request method is get, then we will handle it here. If it is post, then we will handle it here. For example, let's define about route here. If the request dot URL is equal to slash about, if that is the case, so then we will response dot end. These are the built-in methods that you always have to use. So what is request dot end? What it does is like return the response to user. We will return we will return this is a about page, and if the request doesn't match our predefined routes, then we will response dot end route cannot found. Similar to also in post, let me define a route which is like request dot URL, where I will say register response dot end. You are on post slash register route else response dot end route cannot found. So this is the basic uh, like boiler, you can say boilerplate for the node server. What basically we are doing is creating a server which accepts a callback function which has a two parameter request and response, and based on like what the request dot method gives us a method of incoming request, and request dot URL gives us the route of incoming request. So based on that, we have built our own logic using switch statement to handle our routes. So in case our method is get, we will get into this code of law. And if the our request dot URL, which is our route, is slash about, we will respond with this. And if it doesn't match about like our predefined route, we will respond with this code similar to the post. So this is the basic Node.js server you can create, which will basically handle very basic routes. So let me test that. To test that, currently my folder, like correct folder to run this. How to run no index.js. So as you can see, our server is listening on port 8000. Let me open my Postman, and here we will request this local host on port 8000, and let us see if our server is running. Mm, inside the practice, let me create a new request which will handle our is about page, but request will be get, right? So if I send request, I will get the request 2000. Okay, this is about page as we are written here. So yes, basically first it was like sorted using a method, and based upon that it get compared to the this predefined about route, and based upon that it is giving me this response. Let's try another route like abouts, which is not defined, then we will get this route cannot found response. As you can see, this is the basic server you can create with the Node.js. But the problem comes here when your project gets bigger and more complex. It's get very difficult to manage the code base, and which is not a good, usually a very good practice. So you have to maintain your code clean and modular. But if we use the Node.js to create a server using its built-in syntaxes, it really gets messy. That's where the our Node.js like frameworks come into place. This most popular framework based upon Node.js is ExpressJS. As you can see, ExpressJS is small, modular, fast, minimalistic web framework built for Node.js. So what it does is it basically internally also uses this syntax, like HTTP create server, HTTP listen. But what it does is like internally what basically it solves, like it helps to manage the code base really well. It has a built-in methods to handle the routes, built-in methods to use the middlewares. So only this for that this framework is used. As you can see, Express is a minimalistic and flexible Node.js web framework that provides a robust set of features for web and mobile application. So yes, this is about ExpressJS. So let us, like we have learned about the how to create server using Node.js. So now let us learn create like how to create server using mm, how to create server using ExpressJS. Express. So now let me stop the server, get one directory back, go to directory express. Let me initialize npm init npm environment. Yes, 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 yes. So our package.json is initialized here. Let me change the type to modular to use the latest modern ES6 syntax. And after that, let me create our our entry file, which is like index.js. For using Express to to create a server, we have to first install using a npm I express command. This basically install Express in our local environment. As you can see in our dependencies, we have installed Express this version 5.1.0. So yes, as we have installed the Express, first we have to import it, import Express from Express. After importing Express, we have to initialize. To initialize, we have to create a variable called this Express function. This is the boilerplate, you can say. We have initialized the Express in our app variable, and here in app you can listen on port. In our case, let's say 8001 is our port, and we have to pass the uh, callback function, which is request.response. And here we will console log the we are listening on port listening on port 8001. So this is the basic boilerplate that you always have to write when you are initializing Express server. So as we have seen in our node, it is kind of similar, but main game changer comes in this where in our node we are manually like handling the routes, but what Express does is it in the under the hood or in the background it handle the routes for us, so it get easy, very easy. uh, to handle the routes we have to call app dot, and here we have to call a method, like which kind of method. request we are handling. So in our case, we will call a get request, and inside this method, we have to pass a two arguments. First is a path of route, and second is a callback function. Whenever someone hits that path of route, then this callback function will be called. For example, let us pass like is running this route, and we will pass the callback function request response. So whenever someone hit this route, this callback function will get executes, where we will response instead of end. Unlike Node.js, it has a response dot send method, and we will send yes express server is running. Similar to that, you can handle a multiple routes like post route, like delete route, or put route. Similar to that. So as we have build a server using Express, let me run it and next.js. So our server is running on port 8001, and as we have written in our server, we don't have a about endpoint. So let us see what happens. It gives us a 404 response. This and also cannot get response error. This is all handled by Express under the hood. So these are the advantages of using a Node.js framework, especially Express. And let us call our route is running. When we hit this route, we get this response. Yes, Express is running. And also Express is capable of handling like many kinds of data like cookies, JSON, binary data or files, etc. So these are the advantages of using framework, Node.js framework. So this is all about how to create servers in Node.js Express. And now we will try to create our own mini Express clone of our own using the same Node.js create server HTTP in under the hood. So to create that, let me create a new folder. What should I call it? Express clone. Express clone. Let me start the server. Go on my directory back. Change directory to express clone. npm init. And we have initialized our npm environment. So inside express clone, let me create a entry file which is index.js. So to create a express uh, clone, we will create first of all we will create a class which is uh, which is basically represent this express. It is basically under the hood class. We will create a class inside that we will have a multiple methods like dot get method, dot listen, dot post, which will handle similar inputs for example, dot get method would have two parameters or sorry, two arguments. One is path, one is a callback function. So whenever a user hits this, uh, our callback function will run. This is the basic functionality we will try to implement in your project. This is not a this is not actually how exactly the Express works. These are more complicated things, but we will try to implement the only basic running features of Express as we can. And also we will create a listen function which will take a port, a callback function which will initialize a node server in under the hood. So yes, this is the things we will try to implement in our projects. So first of all, mm, let me create a class called create server. I would say create server, and it will have a multiple methods like get post. It will have a listen method. So basically, listen method will have two arguments. First one is port, and second one is callback. So whenever someone call this listen method, we will under the hood start a for server using Node.js. So it is also same in Express. Express does not create its own server. It also uses Node.js under the hood, all the Node.js, but it is like a wrapper around Node.js. It helps to like write code manually. It handles a lot of things in the background. It gives us multiple methods to work around with, and to it also handles a multiple data uh, serialization in background. So you can say technically Express is just a wrapper around Node.js. All the server like create server and all. It also uses the Node.js in background. So we will also do the same. So when someone called this listen method, we will accept the port and callback, and we will create a server using HTTP import HTTP and HTTP. Before that, let me change the type of project to module so that we can use the latest import export syntax. So to create a server, http dot create server, as we have learned in our Node.js create server, uh, and it will have a function callback function which has a request and response, right? And we have to listen on port. We will pass the port given by the user, and it will have a function which says if a user has provided us with the callback, run the callback, else console log the user that listening on port user provided port. So yes, this is the basic listen method. So whenever someone called the listen method, it under the hood it will create a server using Node.js, and inside this create server callback function we will have access to all the incoming requests and here we can manipulate it. So first of all, let me extract the method from request dot method, also the path from request dot URL. So here comes our the main thing how we will handle our routes. So basically, my plan is to create where should I write it? Let me create a readme. Not so my plan is to create a routes object which will have multiple arrays. For example, in our case, we are handling in our projects only two methods. So what my plan is to create a route object which will have two arrays with keys of get and post. Sorry, my bad. And each this array contains for example, this get array will contain a element object which will have a path, API path. For example, it's about, and it will also contain a callback function, right, which is written by the user, also similar to this. So what we are basically creating is we are creating a directory, a routes directory, which will have our all the API routes with its callback function are defined. So to implement that, let me create someone like calls that create server class. Uh, Let me create a constructor. So basically, constructor is used in a class. It is basically the function which will execute itself uh, each time a new instance of a class is created or a class is called. So every time someone calls a create server class, this constructor function will immediately be invoked and executed, and code inside it will directly execute it. So inside the constructor, let me create a routes object, and we are using this keyword just to refer that this is in our current context. So this routes object will have array, empty array with get key and post will have empty array. So this is how my plan is. Like each time a user register API route, it will get stored in this array based upon its methods, and this API like this array will have its path, API routes path, and its callback function. Let me tell you how. So whenever user calls a dot get, similar to our express, when dot get method is called, it user will pass two arguments. First is route, second is callback function. So we will get a path and callback function. And what we will do, we will just store it in our this routes object. To do this, how do I get rid of it? So to do this, this dot routes dot get dot push. So basically our get is array now, so that we can use the push method to add a new element. This new element will be also object which will have its path and its callback function, which is provided by the user. Similar to this express, user is providing us a route and its callback function, and we are storing it in our this routes object, this catalog, and we will handle it in future. Similar to the post, callback this dot routes dot post dot push single path and callback. So now we have a registry where the get APIs will be stored here and post APIs are here. So, and also inside this create server callback function, we have a incoming request method and its path. So based upon that, we will find the correct route inside our routes object, and based upon that we will call its corresponding callback function. To do this, first let me find let me get the array based upon method, like incoming method. So mm, let me call this based on method. This variable will get this dot routes based upon method. If method is not exist, we will get an empty array. So what this code is doing based upon the request method. So for example, if it is a get method, it will select the get array from our catalog or routes, and it is stored in this variable. So this variable name is based upon method. And from as we have access to like array of its corresponding routes, now we will try to find a exact match based upon the path. For that we will call a handler, and we will find based not find route for route dot path is equal to path. So what is this code doing is, as we have access to an array, it is basically iterating the array and checking if our incoming request you path is matching to stored path in our catalog, then we will returning it and storing it in our handler function. If it does not exist, handler function will be undefined. So as we have a exact handler of our incoming request, let me handle this using if statement. If our handler exists, then we have matched to exact route, and then we will call a callback function of that handler and pass the request dot response. And if it else if our handler is empty, that means the route does not match the our predefined APIs. but based on the length, if our based on method dot length is above 0, then we will return 404, which means our route does not found, but our method was right. So which means not route does not found. So its status code is 404. So response dot status code will be 404. Response dot and will be route found. And if that is also not case, then we'll return response lost status code 500 response dot and invalid request. Like let me wrap this around try catch block in case if there's error we will respond to status code 500 response dot end will be internal server error and we will export this class as export default create server not debugger default. So yes, this is our project class. The class name is create server, which will have a constructor, which is basically like a catalog where we will maintain a API based upon its route and we will store its path and callback function. So this route is an object which has a two array and each array like first array is key is get and second array is key is post. So all the defined get routes will be stored in this array. All the defined pre-routes will be stored in this post array. So here we have defined a get and post method. So each like these methods will accept two like parameters. First is path and second is callback function. On call of these methods, we are pushing it to our routes array based upon its method. As you can see, upon its method, we are pushing it to that array, and inside that array, we are storing it as a path and callback function. Now, when our user uses the listen method, which will he pass a port and callback function. Under the hood, we are creating a node server using a HTTP create server. We are extracting a method and path of request. Based upon method, we are finding selecting the array based upon method from this catalog, and based upon that like based upon that array we are finding and matching the exact path of our request to our predefined APIs. And if we find our predefined API and our incoming request path are same, then we are calling its corresponding callback function. If that is not case, we are returning with response 500 internal server error. If we found the if we found the incoming method is right, but route does not match in our redefined APIs, we will response will be status 404 request cannot found, and if that is not the case, response 500 invalid request. and we are just listening on user provided port, and at the end we are exploiting this create server class to check our that our this project is working fine. Let me create a folder called sample app. Let me go to the sample app, create an npm init. Let us check if it is working. Inside sample app, let me create a next.js entry file, type to module, type to module. This is how we can use the import statement. Import the create server, create server from our previous two directories. As we have imported the class, what we will do, we will define inside, and it's like similar to how we use Express. Use new keyword and call a create server. This will create a new instance of our class inside this app variable, and we can use this listen method. We can pass our port. Our port will be 8002. Our callback. Uh, First of all, let me not pass the callback. We have You can pass it callback, but we have also handled a situation where if you don't pass it, it will automatically console log. And now we will handle a get request. Get To handle a get request, we will call a get method, which will accept two parameters. First is path. So path will be status, and a callback function which has two parameters, request response. Callback function, this will console log mm, inside a slash status about, and it will response the end with your server you are visiting slash status route. So let us see if our app is working. To run this sample app, we call node.js. We have error here. Oh, this is just a simple VS Code editor error. We have to mention the proper file name. Okay, we have, so yes, as you can see, our server is running on port 8002. Let me check using the Postman 8002. Let us see what happens, what we get in a response if we doesn't uh, mention or define our API route. Get request you will get 404. As you can see, as we have handled this case here, 404. Our get method is right, but we cannot find a route mention. So we will use a 404 response. So yes, this is running good. Let me check slash status. Yes, we are getting a correct result. You are visiting slash status route. So yes, as we can see, we have developed our own uh, Express mini clone. You so yes, this is for the this stream. So yes, I will be uploading this project on my GitHub with some more features like more we will handle more like methods here, and we will handle JSON parsing where you can send and receive the JSON data using this project. And if you have to contribute, you can contribute in the repository that I will build. It's open. You are welcome to contribute. You can contribute like create a middleware method here. So yes, if you are interested, you can check my mm, GitHub. My GitHub username is Crypto Mafia PB. Capital PB. So this is my GitHub username. If you are interested, you can check this out. So yes, this is it for today's stream. As I have learned recently about the next like Node.js, Express, how to create servers on this. So yes, I thought maybe why not do a stream about it. It will also help me to revise it, what I have learned in past few days, and yes, it will also give me confidence to talk about it in English, talk in a technical language. So yes, that is why I have done this stream. If you have liked it, give me the response and comment section, or you can hit the like. So yes, this is all for today. So yes, thanks for watching. If anyone is out there, so yes, let me end it.